Beginning in March of 2016, I began submitting reports regarding, among other things, insurance fraud. Specifically, fraud involving insurance connected to provision of alleged medical treatment, as well as fraud involving federal agency appropriations to entities that were supposed to be providing assistance to women and others that needed homeless assistance or assistance with addressing domestic violence. It started in Chicago, and then I was forced to flee the state of Illinois, and it came to Texas, and it continued when I got to Texas. After being kidnapped for 10 days, being denied any legal redress, attempting to go through the legal process on my own pro se because of a denial of any contact even with anybody that identified themselves as legally or otherwise eligible to practice law. At a particular time in October of 2017, I noticed that there were items in my life that were also somehow connected to my sister in a manner I did not understand, and that there was a lot of concurrent fraudulent economic activity going on. At some point, I came across a public notice for 5 bond issues that I believe were directly implicated. See, I have a very specific cosmology on my birthday that somebody else thought was supposed to be theirs. It has a particular kind of geometry. It also has a particular kind of equation a mathematician would understand, a cosmologist would understand, and certainly people that understand these factors would be very interested in having that for themselves. As a matter of fact, there is currently a senator who has pretty much the same birth chart I do. He's a senator. I'm not. The point is there were 5 bond issues, 2 for one state, 2 for one state, 1 for a third state. And 2 of those were issued by a specific law firm that kept coming up for reasons I didn't quite understand. See, I had been concerned that for some time, well over 10 years, my life was being used as a sort of proxy, or events in my life were being used as a form of political risk insurance for other people. So on October 17th of 2017, I submitted a motion in consideration of a leave of information in the nature of quo warranto, requesting a motion to amend a motion I just filed requesting a motion to withdraw. I wasn't sure what the activity was, but it was so significant. I was concerned that if somebody did not accept and take my electronic filing offline at that time, that it would be used to finance, if nothing else, illegal activities, and I was concerned a terrorist attack. Now they acknowledged that, and they timestamped the motion to withdraw. They put it on the site. But when I submitted the other motion, even though I got confirmation in the electronic filing system that it had been sent, they never acknowledged it. It was never put online. But a year later, I'm on the streets again. 2 years later, I'm on the streets again. And then somebody exercises their option to withdraw on the same day concerning events around the same time that also projected onto another person a form of recrimination. And then a year after she did that, she did the same thing. A similar thing occurred with another candidate for political office. The same kind of option being executed. I didn't understand it at the time as some kind of political maneuvering in that regard. I was concerned that me and my sister, but specifically me, and the fact that I'd lived in 2 of the states and my sister lived in the 3rd state, that we were being trafficked for somebody else's financial deals while we were being denied resources. And I was being denied any redress through the legal system. And I was on the streets. I literally just found, in conjunction with a variety of other things that are coming up now. Why? Because people defaulted. People did not respond by their deadline. So information that they thought that they were going to hide or that wouldn't be accessible to someone like me, they defaulted. And they literally, that specific law firm that was involved with the issuance of at least 2 of those bonds on that day has apparently political risk insurance coverage. That's part of their specialization. Did they literally use those bonds and code those bonds to my lives and my efforts for legal redress to literally provide political risk insurance for people that could well have been opposition in my own pursuit of political office? And so what? I've just been allowed to be disappeared, and I've been allowed to be slandered, and people that are committing crimes are allowed to avail themselves of my efforts at legal process and my efforts to actually represent myself and perhaps other people were I allowed to talk to them. You know what that is? It's insurance fraud. It's a very significant kind of insurance fraud, and it calls into question the entire legitimacy of the sector. What is political risk insurance? Is it just a fancy way of saying we're going to pay to keep a lid on who you're trafficking in order to harvest and exploit to finance your campaign and or to set up to take the fall when you get caught doing criminal activity? I believe it is. It's also something to note that that person was in was involved in all three branches of the government. If you're involved in all three branches of the government and you've selected somebody else to make your insurance, does that mean you can literally cut that person off from accessing any remedy through any branch of the government? That then calls into question any activities aimed at privatization and deregulation when an appropriate regulatory compliance process regarding justification for immunity in performance of governmental duties would have already addressed your acts of human trafficking and criminal activity as acts of human trafficking and criminal activity, and not potentially compromise very other important sectors or aspects of the insurance sector by virtue of their complicity with your criminal activities.